What's up YouTube, this is Paul from Mickey Tech Tips, and today we're going to be talking about why you shouldn't buy a low-end Android phone, or just a low-end phone in general. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so here we are with my $20 Android. At the time that these were bought a few years ago, they were like 40 bucks on Black Friday. But for some reason they still sell for 20 bucks. And look how bad that is. It's really saturated, it looks like crap. It says low storage because this thing only has about 1 gigabyte of room, and then it's only got about 200 megabytes of that can be used for apps. And look at it compared to like my Droid Turbo 2. I like this a lot better. And even for this time it was a piece of crap because my mom had a Droid Pro and that was still a better phone than this at the time, even though they both ran the same OS. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because I came across that phone not too long ago and I thought, oh, I should do a video about why you shouldn't buy cheap Androids. Oh, and I got another video for this phone too, but you'll have to see, and that one's going to be really fun. It's too dark to do it right now, so I'm going to have to record it probably tomorrow, and it'll probably be the second video I will release this week. So anyway, so getting back to my story. So 3 years ago, a family member bought me and my sister phones like these. Unfortunately, I don't have mine anymore because I gave it to a friend that needed a new phone after I got my original Moto X. So the neat thing is, though, I have my sister's because she asked me about a year ago. Actually, was it a year ago? Yeah, it was about a year ago. Do you want this phone? I found it in a drawer, and I said sure. And I took and tinkered around with it for like 1 or 2 days and stuff to see how bad it was. And at that time, I still had my original Moto X because it was like late 2014, and I was still under contract with it for like another year. So I was tinkering around with it, and I thought, man, this phone's really crappy. Now I remember why I went to a different Android, and then later on left that Straight Talk completely and went back to Verizon because they offered better phones. And that's the thing. I'm not going to get into how bad Straight Talk is, but by the way, Straight Talk and Net10 were the people that were the cell phone providers for these phones, for this model anyway. But anyway, so I thought, this is really crappy, and I thought, you know what, I'll just put it in a drawer just to have it, just in case if I ever need it. Never needed it, so I thought, I got another thing planned for it, and I got this video that I can do. So anyway, so going back to after those were bought, I used mine for about 6 months. This one's missing its back because mine fell off, and like that was one of the bad things about these phones. You drop them even in a case, and my case was horrible just because of how it was designed. The back would fall off. So like mine, the back fell off in like some arena in like Oklahoma somewhere because I was like at a conference thing. So I lost my back, so I took the back for my sister's phone because she never used this as a phone because she had an iPod Touch and a Droid Pro later on for my mom because that was her old phone. But I had an iPod Touch, and then some stuff happened that left me without a phone, so I used mine as a phone. But anyway, so I used that phone for about 6 months, go to a different Android for about 150 bucks off contract. It was actually a decent Android for its time. Kind of wish I still had it, but I'm so glad I don't have it anymore because it overheated. Not just a problem with that phone model, but anyway. So I used that phone for about another 5 months, and then around Christmas time I got the original Moto X, which was like one of the best phones you could get in 2013. In fact, it was still a really good phone when I went to my Droid Turbo 2. So, kind of disappointed to see it go, but I wanted to try out Windows Phone, which is kind of a disappointment. So, yeah. But anyway, so fast forward 6 months after I get my Moto X, and it's that next summer 2014, so it's like that period of time that no one's releasing phones because they're prepping for the next generation of phones that are going to start being released that fall. And so my family members that bought me and my sister these same phones went out and bought themselves some upgraded ones of these because they had these phones too, and they realized that about a year and a half later that they quickly became outdated because they were outdated already. Because at that time, I think Android 4.1 Jelly Bean was like the most recent thing, and these ran 2.3 Gingerbread. And if you guys are wondering, so what happened to 3.0? 3.0 was Honeycomb, and that was a tablet OS. That's a different story. So 4.1 was still was more recent, and they had 4.0 too, but 4.1 pushed these about pushed the OS about two updates behind. And like, man, I do have to say, jumping from like 2.3 to like 4.4 and like 4.3, because my Nexus 7 ran 4.3 Jelly Bean. And by the way, Android 4.0 was Ice Cream Sandwich. 4.1 through 4.3 was Jelly Bean, so it was basically about the same. Then 4.4 was Kit Kat, which was a little bit different, which it's still predominant today because 4.3, no, not 4.3, but 4.4 still ran on a bunch of phones because a lot of carriers skipped Lollipop and was waiting for Marshmallow, and now we're up to Marshmallow, which is like 6.0. And Lollipop's like 5.0 and 5.1. But anyway, so basically what happened is so they got the phones that summer. It ran 4.4 Kit Kat, which my original Moto X ran 4.4 Kit Kat for most of its life, and then it eventually got Lollipop. But anyway, so it was running 4.4 Kit Kat. That was still the newest Android out there. 5.0 Lollipop was coming out that fall, so but it was still about a few months away. And like, they said, do you want to play with the phone for a few minutes to see how good it is? Because they thought it was like the best thing ever. I played with it for a few minutes, and like, it was not the same experience that I had with my original Moto X, because I was messing around with it. It did not have as much storage. The screen was all saturated, and it just felt blah. And like, it just didn't feel the same. It did not feel like the fluent Android experience I had on that Moto X and on the Nexus 7, which, by the way, the Nexus 7 was just a bigger version of the Moto X, because at that time Google owned Motorola and they were still working on Nexus devices, so they released like the Moto X and then like the Nexus, not original, but the second generation of Nexus 7, so they basically felt the same, just like how you would have an iPad feel like an iPhone. So it's one of those things. It felt the same, so I had two good experiences with Android 4.4 on two different devices. And like, so anyway, you guys are probably wondering, why do I have a tablet that feels exactly the same as my phone? It's because I bought the tablet first. But anyway, it's still both good experiences, and tablets still have a place that phones still cannot replace. That's why I have this phone and still use a tablet on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, so I was using it. It felt really bad. Did not feel like the same experience that I had on my Moto X. So I thought, and then I just told them that this is not as good as my Moto X. And he said, oh, this is good. And she also said that it was good. And then the other family member in that household was off doing whatever. But they both said it was good. And like I said, that my Moto X can outperform it, and it can be updated, and it'll probably last longer. In fact, it probably could have lasted for another year, because by the time I got rid of that Moto X, it was 2 years old, and I probably could have used it for another year. But the problem was that I needed something with a bigger battery and bigger storage, which I'll talk about future-proofing towards the end of the video. But anyway, so as I was saying, I said, this isn't a good phone. They said that it has a dual-core processor, which is great. And I said, It's not as great as my Snapdragon. I think it was like, yeah, an S4 Pro, which is what was in my original Moto X. And like, I remember getting on the Straight Talk website just to look at the specs of the phone. I think the processor was like half of like what my Moto X was, because I think the Moto X was like, it was a dual core, but then it had like a really good clock frequency, so it was like made it really good. This is like an 8 core, I think. But like my original Moto X is like a dual core or a quad core. I think it might have been a quad core. I just can't call it off the top of my head. But anyway, so I said that don't make a big difference. What makes a difference is the processor inside of it. And the reason why I say that is because if you get a phone with a good processor, it'll run great. For example, this runs a Snapdragon 810. It's an older processor, but it runs great. This is a Snapdragon 810. Oh, did I say 810 on this one? This is a Snapdragon 800. And this is an 810, which came out the next year. Now they're up to like Snapdragon 820, which honestly is really great. And that's one of the things I want to point out, is that basically I honestly would not run one of these cheap phones again. Now if I broke my phone and I needed a phone to get me by until I got a new phone, then I would. But like, that's one of the things now, is like, fast forward about a year and a half later, on those family members' phones, 2 out of 3 of them broke. The screen broke on one, and then the charging pins fell on the other one, so they had to take the back off that one and then take the battery out and charge it in another one, and then put the battery into that phone until they got around to replace that phone. And then they came up to me and asked me, so what's the best phone you can buy for $100? And I said, let's go look online, because I can tell you what to buy and what not to buy. So the first thing they did is they went on to Straight Talk's website, which, by the way, I would not buy a phone from Straight Talk if my life depended on it, because if you have a problem with that phone, their customer support is so horrible. Oh, by the way, if the lighting's bad, it's because of how this is working. Let me scoot over a little. But anyway, so as I was saying though, basically getting onto it, Straight Talk's customer support is horrible. And even having to deal with them with a phone provider was horrible enough, so I don't want to deal with them. So if I have a problem with my phone, and that's the thing I liked about my original Moto X, is that it had a dedicated line for you to call Motorola if you had problems. I only used it once. And in fact, I used the chat feature because I kind of screwed up the battery, and I got that fixed. But then some more battery, no, actually I didn't abuse the battery again, but the battery did degrade over time just because it's a lithium battery. But anyway, so getting back to what I was saying, get on the website, and they point out a Samsung Galaxy S3, which by the way is like 4 years old. So I would not use a 4-year-old phone just because, unless it's a good price, but in this case it was not, for what they were trying to sell it for. But anyway, I would not use a 4-year-old phone because it's probably not supported anymore. Either that or it's on the fixed not to be supported at all, because like the iPhone 4S, it's 3 years old. It's not going to be supported this coming up fall. So I would try to avoid it at all costs unless I had one and then I found another one for a good deal, but they were just asking too much. So then I said, let's go to Amazon, and then which led us into Motorola.com for some reason. And like, they had the E, the G, those are the 2 low-end ones, and then from there you got your X and your Droids. But anyway, so we look and we compare both the E and the G, and I said the better one is the G, and he said, would the E get by fine? And I said yes, but it might not last as long. And they said, well, that's fine, it'll work for what we're using. I said, okay, you're probably going to have to upgrade it sooner than what you would with the G. But anyway, I'm not trying to bash on the E or anything. It would be a great phone, but some people, this is getting into my tangent about future-proofing. You can future-proof a phone for up to probably about 4 years, maybe 5. Honestly, I would not try to push a phone that long. I would try to push it to maybe for about 2 years, maybe 3. I would not push it all the way up to 4 or 5. But anyway, so some people are like that. So they're going to go buy a phone, probably buy the best phone they can, use it, and then maybe pass it on to someone else, or just use it themselves for those 4 years. But I have seen that done where people pass the phones on. But anyway, so I tell them good luck. They haven't bought the phones yet, but the thing about it is, I would say watch it. And like another thing I want to point out is that the cost of high-end phones is coming down slightly. Not slightly, significantly. So like, even with that $100 Android, I would just take and save up the extra $50 just to have a better phone that might last me longer because it'll be supported longer. And like, that's the thing I like about like Motorola, Huawei, the Google Nexus line, and other phone makers. They're making decent phones for a great price. And so like, my original Moto X was at about, I think like $500 off contract. That isn't that bad. This Droid Turbo 2, $650 off contract. That's a normal price. Went down to $550 off contract because of the Christmas deal that they did, and then adding in the $200 gift card that I got for trading in my old phone, it basically made the and then taking that $200 gift card and buying this when I could have applied it to this phone, it basically made this phone like $350 off contract. And the neat thing I like about the phone carriers now is that you can do a payment plan. So like Verizon's got Edge, AT&T's got Next, and then you got Sprint and T-Mobile that got their things. And like, luckily T-Mobile was the one that started it, and that's one good thing they did because everyone followed along. So like, before you had to pay like, let's say you wanted to go buy the newest iPhone. You had to pay $200 down, plus the taxes, plus you had to keep it for 2 years. But now, all you have to do is pay the taxes. So like, this one was like $50 or $60 for taxes on it, because taxes are super expensive. But anyway, so pay the taxes on it. You use the phone, you pay a monthly rate. So like this one, it isn't that much more expensive a month to have this phone compared to if I were to go buy it off contract. Not off contract, compared to if I use the old plan. It isn't that much old plan. Crap, I got my words mixed up. It isn't that bad to per month to pay for it, compared to with the old plan. You would have to still pay your monthly activation and stuff, and then and then on top of that you still have to pay $200 on top of it. Well, now you pay the taxes, and that's the thing I like, is that they take and they discount your line. So like, the line access fee before on Verizon was $40. Now it's $20 plus like another $25. So this only makes it $5 more a month to get a top of the line phone for a great deal. And like, even Apple's doing it for like $30 a month. You can get an iPhone 6. Actually, it'd be 6S now. But anyway, honestly, I still think that's high. You could save like a few bucks a month with going through a phone carrier and getting it through a payment plan. But even then, it's still great. I think Motorola does something like that too. But honestly, I like that, because then I can pay the phone off in payments. And like, even the phone carriers, the phone makers themselves that offer the payment plans, that's a great thing, because maybe I don't want to be under contract and I want to move around phone carriers. Then I can just pay it to the manufacturer. And like, that's another thing I like about it, is that you only have to pay off at least half the phone, then you can trade it in and get a new phone. Of course, I wouldn't do that because that's just stupid, but there are some people that want to do that. But another two options you can do is you can move the payment plus the phone over to someone else's line and then get yourself a new phone, or you can pay the phone off and then just go buy another phone. Whereas before, it didn't really matter on how much you got through. But so let's say you bought a cheaper smartphone, and it didn't matter how far you got through your contract, you would still have to pay the same termination fee as everyone else. But now, all you have to do is pay your up to half of the phone off, or if you want to pay the rest off, you just pay off the rest that you owed on the phone. So I honestly think that's a logical way. And then if you're someone that uses a phone for 4 years, then you can take that extra 2 years that you're not paying on it, save up the $25 a month, and then just buy a phone outright. So I think that's a great idea. And like, even now, with like the Honor 5X, the Moto X, Pure Edition, the Nexus devices and stuff, prices are coming down on smartphones. Oh, and the OnePlus phones, prices are coming down, and like eventually they're going to be really great. But honestly, I do not see where the space is for these little phones. And that's another thing. Phone makers take the majority of the profits, and that's why they have to upcharge these phones so they can do R&D for the crappier phones too. So yeah, that's one of the things about those phones, is that they do the R&D for it, and then they build the crappier phone to get to the market that they did not get to before. So honestly, I would not buy phones like this because they're slow and they just don't work right. So I'm done with the rant. I hope you guys are probably still watching it by now. It's like up to the 20-minute mark. So remember to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you Thursday, and I will be doing something else with this phone. So I'll see you guys next time.